Definitely. You mentioned the referendum 90, the R90. Let's talk about that a little bit. And what does that mean to me, to you, to our listening audience? They may not be acquainted with R90. So if you can explain to them what that means, that'll obviously help us when we go to cast our ballots regarding that referendum.
Absolutely. So our state constitution allows for a referendum of the people to shut down bad decisions that the legislature has made. So clearly compromising the minds of 5, 6, 7-year-old kids with comprehensive sex education. This is a mandate of all the school districts in Washington state must teach comprehensive sex education at all different levels. And when you see the curriculum that's being pushed forward, it will just blow your mind. It's literally pornographic for these young children. And so we went through this signature collecting phase. We need to collect around 130,000 signatures. Actually, across the state, 266,000 signatures were gathered to put R90 on the ballot. So for some people, this is where the confusing part comes in. We worked so hard to put R90 on the ballot this November, but now we need to do all we can to reject R90. By rejecting R90, we're rejecting comprehensive sex education. And again, why do we reject them? We reject the bad decisions that were made down in Olympia because we want to make sure that our young, innocent kids are kept safe. You know, it's all part of the agenda today. Compromise these minds of 5, 6-year-old kids, let Planned Parenthood be the health alternative in the middle school, and then let 13-year-old girls get abortions without parents knowing it. We are falling further behind in Washington state, going deeper and darker, not protecting our kids. That's caused so much division, separation, death, destruction in Washington. We cannot continue on this trajectory or else we're not going to get back.
No, totally agree with you. I was reading this R90 information, and I was appalled that they would kind of ramrod, if you will, things down our throat in reference to, like you said, 5, 6, and 7, the innocent. I mean, do you really believe that a child of that age should be introduced to that form of education, sex education, that comprehensive at that age? And really, I can remember when I was growing up, I mean, sex education, was all about, hey, having a child and this, that, and the other. And you didn't get introduced to that till you were 14, 15, 16 years old, and sometimes even later,
right?
Depending on, your school district and all that other good stuff. But now it seems like there is an agenda, and I don't know where this is all stemming from, that they're trying to just force all of this stuff on our kids and then take the parents out of it, take the school board out of it, take people with, rational decision-making process out of the loop, and then just, this is where we're going. This is what you have to eat. This is what you have to do. I think that, I'm hoping that it sparks somebody out there to say, wait a minute, I didn't realize what this was all about. Let me look into this further. And hence why we're having this conversation around this, because anytime you take a child and you subject them to this type of dogma, in my opinion, and this type of literature and this type of comprehensive sex education, you're really taking them to a dark place, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's their attempt to normalize promiscuity ultimately. And there used to be innocence.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And now that innocence, they're being literally pushing strong to try to push these images in these kids' minds. And once you push those images in those kids' minds, they're not going to retreat. What happened to the day where you would go to kindergarten, first grade, you'd be drawing and learning ABCs? This is the first time in state history where the Office of OSPI, the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, is mandating a curriculum is taught in all 294 school districts. So you would have thought, well, we mandate that math must be taught, we mandate that science must be taught, we mandate these different subjects. No, now comprehensive sex education must be taught in all. And what's so interesting, if you watch that 2:30 in the morning, the discussion on the House floor, a Republican legislator made an amendment and saying, we want to let the kids opt out of this curriculum. And the Democrats were saying, well, no, the good news is the parents can opt their kids out. But the problem is it's not like they can say, hey, we're going to opt our kid Johnny out of 7th period because that's health class where it's taught. No, now comprehensive sex education is throughout the whole curriculum, throughout the whole day. So this Republican legislator said, well, let the kids opt out. Democrat legislator stood up and said, no, these kids' minds don't develop until age 20. They wouldn't know if they should withdraw themselves from that class. And your response is appropriate.
It was like, wait a minute. If they're not developed till 20, why are we introducing this at 5, 6, and 7 in younger ages? So, I mean, it's a contradiction just on the premise, just with that one statement. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, who in the world is pushing this agenda? I mean, my grandchildren, and yes, I have grandchildren, I would not want them to be subjugated to, being forced this type of education, which I feel they're not ready for this. I mean, I don't care what society says. I want to make sure that my kids are protected in their innocence. Yep. I want them to grow in grace, and I want them to, be at an age where, they feel that they're ready to receive this, and that age is way too young. It is not right. And for those of you that are listening out here, hopefully you're getting a little fire under you, and hopefully you look at our, future lieutenant governor and saying, hey, look, you know what? He's protecting our children's innocence, and he's going to not only do that, there's some other things that you talked about. You talked about being the